Welcome, 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 everybody. I am Helen, and I call myself the Cheesecake Runner. Now, there is a story behind that, but we don't really have time today. But basically, I love food and I love running, and I am a nutrition coach. So I'm going to be taking you through my tips for how to get your diet right for your marathon training. So, first up, did you know that there was a study done of American charity marathon runners, which pretty much all of us, about weight loss and how they went through their training. And what they found in this study, and I think it was either performed last year or the year before, so it's quite recent, it's not way back in the archives. They found that 11% of US charity runners who were training on a 16-week training program like you and I will be doing come spring, put on weight training. Now, you might not think that people are going to put on weight whilst they're marathon training, but it's actually quite common. I am the admin of the London Marathon Training and Support Facebook group, and also a Facebook group to support people who are running Manchester Marathon. And it was quite shocking. Oh, not shocking. It wasn't even surprising. There were quite a lot of people last spring who were training for both London and both Manchester, who round about sort of back end of February, March time, were posting all sort of things in our group saying that they were putting on weight and they just had no idea on how to control it. And I even had one lovely lady message me, and she said she'd put on so much weight she wanted to go on a crash diet, and she wanted my opinion on a cucumber diet. So it happens, guys, and there are a number of reasons why people put on weight through marathon training, but it doesn't have to be that way. So if you get your diet right now, you can train for your marathon with confidence without putting on weight. So you can make sure that you are eating the right foods to fuel your running without overeating and then piling on the pounds. So we're going to talk about what we need to be doing and what foods you need to be eating for your marathon training, and how you can avoid this sort of weight gain that you really don't want, because you don't want to be carrying excess baggage around those 26.2 miles come race day next spring. So, do you struggle with the temptations of chocolate, chardonnay, crisps, and cake? Now, I know I do. I love a glass of wine. My name is Cheesecake Runner, so you can guess what sort of temptations that I've got. I think everybody loves a treat, and we need to understand, I don't think we need to give up treats whilst we're training, but we need to manage them. Have you ever gotten back from a run and wanted to eat all the food? Well, if you're a new runner and you're really just starting out, you might not have felt this overwhelming urge to eat absolutely everything in the house. But trust me, once you get into training, once the miles start building up, if you haven't got your diet sorted and you're not eating the right types of food, you will feel like this. And in fact, I posted something in my Facebook page today about this. I ran a marathon on Sunday, and I haven't really been hungry all week, and it hit me at 10 o'clock this morning. I'd had breakfast at 7, and at 10 o'clock this morning I had this overwhelming hunger, and it was a residual hunger from all those calories that I'd burnt in on Sunday. It was really almost like catching up with me. I had a snack, and that sorted it out, and I haven't really piled up my plate today, and I do seem to have eaten the right foods, that I haven't had to eat all the food in the fridge. But it does happen. If you go out and burn lots of calories on some of your big runs and you're not preparing for them, then you can get this overwhelming hunger. We call it runga, either that later that day or the following day. And are you a busy parent? Are you juggling your kids and your job with running? And you absolutely don't want me to tell you that you need to be eating all sorts of complicated foods, cooking all sorts of complicated things. You need things to be straightforward in your life, because trust me, come into spring, once you get running, once you get marathon training, you are going to be even busier. So you're in the right place, because what we're going to be talking about today is how you can eat healthier every single day. So not just when you're training for your marathon. We'll look at, what are the things that make up a healthy diet. You're in the right place if you also want to know some simple changes to improve your diet that will help you improve your running results. That's what we're going to focus in on tonight, folks. We're going to focus on those simple changes, and I'm going to give you 5 that can really make a massive, massive difference to your running. Now, a couple of people have messaged me over the last couple of days with all sorts of questions about gels and fueling long runs and things like that. What I'm going to do is we'll do another workshop about long run training. So this workshop tonight is going to be about the simple changes about improving your overall diet. I'll do something else, maybe not next week, probably the following week, and we'll do a workshop on how to get your long runs right. So we do things in bite-sized workshops, so I just don't inundate you with information that you go, oh my God, I can't cope with this. Okay, and you also want to make sure you've got more energy for exercise. This is absolutely critical for when you are marathon training, because you need energy to fuel your running. You need energy to power you through all of those long runs you're going to be doing, all of the hill training, all the sprint training you're going to be doing. You need energy for exercise. And as well as energy for exercise, you need to be able to recover rapidly, because when you get into marathon training, it is relentless. You will go in day after day after day running or training, and you need to make sure that you're giving your body the opportunity to recover and repair from all the running that you are doing. So I'm going to give you some tips and tools as to how you can help the recovery from the runs that you're doing. And what we're needing to do is to make sure that you can get trained and ready to run your marathon. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover today. I'll just tell you a little bit about me. Now, I did see a list of names that just before we started. I now can't see them because I can't see the chat. But there's quite a few people that have known me for quite a while there who are on the call. So it's great to see you. But there's quite a few of you who this is our first time of meeting. So I'll just tell you a little bit about me and the journey that I have been on. So I am now a keen runner. I'm a nutrition coach, and I help my clients achieve sort of diet, weight loss, and their running goals. And I specifically work now with a lot of people who are training for their first marathon, and make sure that we're all going to get to the start line in great shape, so we can achieve the race of our dreams. But I wasn't always a fit and fast runner. In fact, I'm not particularly fast now. I've been on quite a journey through my life. I started off when I was at school. I was a lazy kid. I used to hide in the music block instead of doing PE. I absolutely hated exercise. Hated it. Somewhere along the line when I was at uni, I started doing aerobics. It was the late 80s, early 90s. So I was one of the sort of the lycra-clad ladies or the girls who, leotards and leg warmers brigade. And I used to bounce around at the back of the aerobics classes, just burning a few little calories. I started running, but I had an on-off relationship with running because I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I had a really, really busy job for many, many years, and I was traveling all over the place, and I was living the good life. I was eating loads. I was drinking loads of wine. I do love wine, and I do love beer, and I love, love, love food. And oh, as the years progressed in this sort of reasonably hedonistic lifestyle that I had, and I did try and run, I did try and keep fit, the pounds kept piling on. And I realized in 2012 I wasn't really in a great place. And this is a picture of me at my friend Nick's party, July 2012, and I'd already started running then, so I think I'd already lost a bit of weight, but I wasn't in a great place. And basically I set myself a goal of running a half marathon. So I started running, and I started focusing on my lifestyle. I started focusing on my fitness, and I had to start running from scratch. And you know, if you can think back to the days when you started running, you might have always been fit, but I couldn't run for more than 5 minutes. I was out of breath. It was just horrendous. Anyhow, I ran my first marathon, which was in Reading, and that was in March 2013. And it was a horrendous day, pouring down with rain. It was freezing cold. I had a big girly strop at mile 10. I wanted to stop. Oh, it was awful. It was horrendous. But I went back for more, and the following weekend I ran. I knew that Reading I'd given up pretty much, and I wasn't going to be defeated by this whole running thing. So I ran another and another and another, and I really started taking running quite seriously and getting into running halves. And eventually I decided I was going to run a marathon, and I ran my first London after getting my life back under control in 2015. And I had such a great time. I didn't want the marathon to finish, believe it or not. And since then, I've become a little bit of addicted to running marathons. If next spring will be your first marathon and you say, oh, it's only one, I'm only going to run marathon, I challenge you not to enter another race directly afterwards. Anyhow, I've now ran my 10th marathon. I ran that on Sunday, which was at Abingdon, and I'm quite proud that I've come from nowhere, and I've now got to the point where I'm fit, and I can help you guys with your marathon journey. Make sure that you are focusing on the right food and training correctly. Right, someone's just asked a question. Oops. Oh, Louisa is saying she's only just running one marathon. No, well, you never know. It's right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, here we go. We're back to the screen. Right. So I have now run 10 marathons. I'm a runner and a nutrition coach, and I help people exactly like you achieve their ultimate dream of running their marathon. But it wasn't such a long time ago that I was just like you. I was a beginner, so I think I still remember it. I still remember the struggles, and I have learned from a lot of mistakes. Believe me, the first couple of marathons I ran, I made every mistake in the book, and I have learned from those mistakes, and I can now help you to make sure that you don't make them too. Okay, right. So what are we going to cover? So we're going to talk a little bit about why people struggle with training for their marathon, and particularly why they struggle with their diet. There are loads of things, but I'll give you the biggest one that has come out of the groups that I've been involved in and the clients that I've had. I'll then take you through my approach to food for marathon training, which is the big one. That's why you're here. You want to know what are my top tips, and we'll then talk about how you need to apply those to get trained and ready to run your marathon. Okay, now I have sent out, you've had a couple of emails from me over the last couple of days with links to this workshop, and also in there was a little workbook that I've pulled together. And if you haven't had an opportunity to print it out, download it and print it out, I think it'd be really, really helpful. Don't worry if you haven't got it now. Just take lots and lots of notes, because this workshop isn't about me. This isn't about me telling you how wonderful I am. I've run all these marathons, and just follow my tips and you'll be fine. This is a workshop very much about you. I am going to give you a heap of information, but I would like you, as we go through the next half an hour or so, to listen quite carefully, take notes, and then reflect on yourself and how it all applies to you. So I'm going to take you through some things that you need to be doing to tune up your diet for your training. And I need you to think about where you are right now and what changes you are going to need to make to your diet, to the food that you're eating, to tune it up to your up for training. Okay, because there's no point in being here if you're just going to listen without making any changes. You might as well go and watch Coronation Street or something, or just go and watch your telly, because you just don't have the time to mess around when you're marathon training. If you're going to be here, you need to make sure that you're taking things away and you're going to put them into action. And these tips are definitely going to help you with your training. So we're going to get you to the start line of your marathon in great shape. Okay, so take a look at the workbook. Right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about why people struggle with their diet. And you know, I gave you that statistic about the American study where 11% of people put on weight. Let's talk a little bit about that. So what I have seen from observing a lot of new runners over the last year or so, and we're talking here about new runners. I'm not talking about club runners or people who run multiple marathons or ultra runners. I'm talking about average Joe who decides they're going to run a marathon and run a marathon for charity. What I often see is that people overestimate the amount of effort they're going to have to put into their running, and they overestimate the amount of calories that they're going to be burning during their runs. And guess what happens? They then pile up their plate with massive amounts of food. And it's a mathematical equation. If you are overeating and you're not burning those calories, you are going to gradually put on weight. And I will admit, the first marathon I ran, that's exactly what I did. I thought running a marathon and doing all the training that you need to be doing to run a marathon, I thought it gave me carte blanche to eat absolutely everything and eat huge quantities of food. And as a result, I put on about half a stone whilst I was training for the marathon. And it was completely unintentional. So I thought running a marathon, I could eat all sorts of things. I could eat chocolate bars and cake because I would just be burning it off. But I've got news for you. You're not going to be burning as many calories as you probably think you are through your marathon training. So the best advice that I have got for you so that you don't put on that weight whilst you're training is to stick to a diet with the normal number of calories that you are eating right now, right today, in a stable state. So that's the first thing. People were piling their plates. The second thing was rewarding themselves for running. Have you ever done that? You get home and you go, oh my goodness, I've had such an amazing run. Oh God, it was hard, really hard. Oh my goodness, I need chocolate. Give me an enormous bar of Cadbury's. So a lot of people reward themselves for running. Yeah, I've done that too. I used to run at the gym, and there was a supermarket on the way back to my car, and I would pop into the supermarket for chocolate or cake or a bun or something directly after the gym. And I was wondering, why am I losing any weight? I'm doing all this exercise. So rewarding yourself for running is another trap that a lot of people get into. And what you will probably find is in your marathon training plan, you'll be doing a fair number of workouts that are going to be, maybe half an hour up to an hour, midweek type workouts. And you won't be burning huge amounts of calories in those workouts. So just be mindful of that. And the first part of your training, make sure that you don't think that you're going to be burning thousands of calories so that you can, that allows you to pig out on all the junk food that you possibly can. Okay, so that's my biggest watch outs for you. Okay, so it doesn't have to be that way. So you don't have to pile your plates, and you don't have to reward yourself. I know we'd like to reward ourselves, but let me talk about some of the things that you need to add in your diet. So I told you some negatives. I told you some things some watch outs. Let's talk about some of the things that you could have in your diet. So my approach is different. And what I do when I'm looking at my diet and to support my running is, I focus on five key areas, and I also make sure that I don't give up cake. I don't give up glasses of wine, but I'm mindful of the food that I am eating. I don't reward myself for exercise, and I don't pile my plates high. And if you do that, then you can then occasionally, like everyday life, even if you didn't have running, you can still, have the occasional treat. Okay, so I'm calling this my 5 food for fitness foundations, 5 of them. Okay, foundation number 1, and this is absolutely critical. And these 5 are all about things you need to include in your diet, and include in your diet pretty much every day. So first up, what I really want you to be thinking of is eating your 5 a day. And in fact, you really need to be eating more than 5 portions of fruit and vegetable every single day. And maybe I shouldn't have put this one as the first one, but I'm a massive fruit and veg fan. Fruit and veg is packed full of good nutrients, vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, you name it, it's in fruit and veg. And you also get great amounts of fiber, which is excellent for good gut health. And a lot of fruit and veg also provide you with carbohydrate as well. Now, when we're training for a marathon, we are going to be putting our bodies under lots and lots of stress and strains, okay? And you therefore need to make sure that your diet is as healthy as it possibly can be, but even healthier than you would normally do. So I need you to be thinking about making sure that you are eating at least 5 portions of fruit and veg every single day, and mix it up. Don't always just go for, carrots and peas. You need to be thinking about 5 different types of fruit and vegetables, and make sure you eat the rainbow, because different fruit and veg with different colors, they've got different nutrients in them, different phytochemicals, and they give you different sources of nutrients. Okay, so as a runner, as a marathon training athlete, and you're an athlete in training, you need to be eating at least 5 portions of fruit and veg every single day. Second, don't dismiss starchy carbs. Okie dokie. Now, carbohydrates and sugar seem to be, the pariah at the moment. Everyone seems to be sugar phobic or carb phobic. And I'm now going to tell you that you shouldn't dismiss starchy carbs from your diet. In fact, starchy carbohydrates are really, really important in your diet when you are training to run a marathon. And here's why. Carbohydrates are the fuel that you will be using alongside your body fat to power you around your marathon. And in fact, a lot of the running that you will be doing, you will be fueling it with carbohydrate, okay? And the carbohydrates are stored in your body as a form of glycogen, and you need to make sure that your glycogen stores are stocked up to power your running and to help you with your training. Now, you can fuel your training, your body can fuel your training just from using body fat. But just a word of warning for that, for people who are wanting to be on a low carbohydrate diet, you can fuel your running without going on a high carb, or without making sure that you're eating lots of carbohydrates. But it is really, really tough. And I don't know about you, but I want to make my marathon training as easy as possible. And the way to do that is to make sure that you're eating the right amounts of starchy carbohydrates in your diet. So, you know, a lot of ultra runners and a lot of very sort of serious marathon runners, they might be on a low carb diet. And the reason they'll be doing that is they're trying to get their body more efficient at burning fat for fuel. But they are highly trained athletes. And, you know, us regular runners, if we want an easy path to our marathon next year, you know, make sure that you are eating starchy carbohydrates and having them in your diet. Okay, so what sort of carbohydrates am I talking about? I'm not talking about a Mars bar, let's just put it that way. I am talking about including starchy whole grains in your diet, okay? So this is a great sort of picture in the background. I hope you can see that. So it's got, it's got pasta, it's got potatoes there, it's got bananas, and it's got, you know, whole grain bread and all sorts of other grains. So experiment, include lots of other whole grains in your diet, because whole grains release energy slower than sugars. So sugars from sort of sweets, and cakes and things like that. You need to be eating the starchy carbohydrates, the whole grains. Whole grains have got loads and loads of other vitamins and minerals in them. So that's even better. So you're getting the energy from the carbs, you're getting some great vitamins and minerals. And the third thing that a lot of these whole grains have got is fiber. And fiber is absolutely fantastic. And you really need to make sure you're getting good amounts of fiber in your diet for great gut health. Okay, got it. So that was foundation number 2 that I always stick with. And anyone who knows me knows I love bananas and I love my carbs. Okay, foundation number 3 is you need to include lean quality protein in your diet. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, things like, you know, chicken and fish and eggs and dairy, great sources of protein. If you are a vegetarian, then you need to be thinking about nuts and seeds, as well, and lentils and beans in your diet as well. So all the vegetarian protein sources. Why do we need protein in our diets? Well, despite a lot of people seem to think, protein plays no role in fueling your running. So a lot of people, and I read it every day, talk about drinking protein shakes or eating protein bars or eating protein before they're going out running. Supposedly because they think it's going to help them power through their running and provide energy. Well, it doesn't. Protein will give your body energy, but the only way that it does that is when your body is run out of carbohydrates, and your body then starts breaking down muscle, and it breaks down muscle to form sugars that can then be burnt as fuel, and that causes muscle soreness. So we really do not want to be using protein as a fuel source in our running. It will happen in a marathon. It's when you hit the wall, that's when your body starts metabolizing protein. But if you eat an egg or some beef or some chicken before you go running, that is going to do absolutely, or you drink a protein shake, the protein in those foods is going to do absolutely nothing for your running, okay? So that's the first thing I wanted to say about protein, because I'm a little bit passionate about that. And every time I go onto Facebook and just try and explain, people sort of don't want to listen. So I always have to get that across. Okay, right. So why do we need protein in our diet if it doesn't fuel our running? the reason we need protein is because when we are running, we are going to be putting our muscles through a lot of stress and strain, hopefully to build up strong running muscles, so strong legs, some hips, glutes, and also strong stabilizing muscles. And to do that, we need protein in our diet to help us build up our strong muscles, also to repair the muscles that we damage when we go out running, because that's what we make, sort of little micro tears in our muscles when we run. So we need good quality lean protein in our diet so we can repair our muscles. So my recommendation for you is you do need to be eating lean quality protein. You need about 20% of your diet needs energy requirements come from protein. But instead of eating it before you go out, do your workout, include protein in your diet after, because that's when you're needing it. And it's all for about repair of your muscles. Now, a lot of people say, oh, do I need to be eating additional protein now I'm marathon training? You need to be eating a little bit more protein than a sedentary person. But if you have got a traditional British meat and two veg diet, you're probably eating enough protein already. If you're a vegetarian, when I've worked with vegetarians as clients, I've analysed their diet, I have found a few of them have got quite low protein intakes, and that's generally that because they've got a diet that is, they've taken meat out without actually thinking about vegetarian protein. So we then work on how they can combine all the vegetarian protein sources to get their adequate protein in their diet. So if you shun meat, you don't eat a lot of meat, or you're a vegetarian, those are probably the only times when I would suggest that you do need to be increasing the amount of protein in your diet, and maybe including something like a protein shake would be useful after you've done your workouts. Okay, right, that's number 3. Next, iron. Oh my goodness, Helen, what's this all about? Iron. Now, iron is really important as a runner because when you go out running, your feet strike on the pavements or on the grass or wherever. So you're pounding action of your feet on the pavements. What happens when you pound your feet on pavements is that you rupture red blood cells. Not all of them, oh, thank goodness, but you will rupture some of your red blood cells. And what happens then is you then release the iron from the red blood cells, and that iron then gets excreted in your urine or excreted in your sweat. So what you find is that a lot of runners are deficient in iron, okay, if they don't have an iron-rich diet. And what that happens is it means that you can be lacking in energy, you can start feeling a little bit anemic, and it's not great. And as runners, we need good quality, good sources. You know, we need loads of blood in our bodies to transport all the nutrients around our bodies and the oxygen to our legs to power our running. So it's really, really important as runners that we have an iron-rich diet. Firstly, to make sure that we've got all that blood and it can transport all those nutrients. But secondly, to replenish the iron that is lost from the foot strike of us running. Okay. Now, how do you get iron in your diet? I'm just going to see if I can go back to the last clip. So, looking at the lean quality protein slide, we have on the back here some red meat. Now, red meat is a really good source of iron, as is offal. And anyone who knows me knows I'm a little bit of an offal freak. When I'm in training, I do eat I eat offal probably once a week. Now, I know offal, liver, and things like that are not to everybody's taste. But I was brought up with it, and I was told if it was on my plate, I ate it. It doesn't, it's good for you, basically. It's got loads and loads of iron. It's a great source of protein, and it's cheap because people don't like it. So offal is a great, great source of iron, as is red meat. You can also get a lot of iron from, you know, green leafy vegetables are a great source of iron. And if you are a vegetarian, then green leafy vegetables are your friend. And what you should be doing is to cooking your veg in an iron cooking pot, because that actually it increases the absorption of iron into your body, and also making sure that you've got good quality sources of vitamin C along with your veg, because that helps the absorption of the iron. If as a runner, and when you get into training, you suspect that you have an iron deficiency and you're feeling really tired, sluggish, but out of sorts, it's always a good idea that you really should be seeing your doctor to see if you need to be prescribed any supplements in relation to iron. But my recommendation as a nutrition coach is to make sure that your diet in the first instance is iron rich, and to go down that route first. But if you do suspect that you are lacking in iron and it is an iron deficiency, you really should go and see your GP. Okay, foundation number 5, and I'm just going to take a short break, drinking water. I've been talking for half an hour. Need some water, right? Okay, it's not food, it's liquid. But my 5th foundation for you to make sure that you are eating right for your marathon, you are getting your diet sorted for your marathon after all of the other 4 that we've done. So we've talked about fruit and veg, we've talked about starchy carbohydrates and why they are so important. We've talked about protein and why protein is so important. We've talked about iron and why iron is so important. Water is so important. You will be when we're out running, we need to make sure that we are well hydrated. And the reason when you're going out running you need to be well hydrated is because you will be creating heat in your body when you're running, when you're training, and your body will then have to lose that heat through sweating. So even when we're training in the depths of winter, and you know it's about to start getting cold from this weekend, I think winter is coming, you will still be sweating. So my big piece of advice to you is to always make sure that you're well hydrated before you start any running or any training. And a lot of people I work with, I ask them about their diet, I ask them about chocolate, and I ask them about booze and all sorts of things, and often a bit cagey about how much they're eating, how much they're drinking. As soon as I ask them about water and whether or not they're drinking enough water, hands up, they all admit to me they have a problem drinking water through the day. It's difficult. If you're working in an office, or if you are in the car all the time, or commuting on public transport, drinking water or having water to hand can be quite difficult. So, but when you're marathon training, you need to make sure that you are well hydrated through the course of the day, and always. And so what I recommend to you is keeping a pint glass on your desk. So I'm sitting here and I have a pint glass in front of me, and I'm sipping it as we're going through this workshop this evening. And when I'm working, always got a large glass of water in front of me. Also, when you're out traveling, we're all runners, so we now have got water bottles. So, you know, Joe Public doesn't have water bottles, but you are an athlete in training. No doubt you have at least 1 or 2 water bottles. If not, you need to go to Sports Direct and find yourself some. They're not expensive at all. So get your water bottle. Make sure that you carry it with you at all times, and you take small sips of water throughout the day. So you need to make sure that you are well hydrated all through the day, and the way to tell that is by doing the pee test. You need to make sure that your urine is a sort of light straw color. If it's a darker sort of orangey color, that is immediately telling you that you're dehydrated and you need to be drinking water. So Hope those you can get that sorted. It's really, really important. If you are going out training and you're dehydrated, your running will be so much harder. And do you know what? You and I, we do not want to do hard training. We want to make it as easy for us as possible. So let's be honest. What's your diet like right now? So remember, I was saying this isn't about me. This isn't about my tips. I'm telling you 5 things that I think are absolutely critical to get right. 5 basic things to get right in your diet right now so you can eat right for your marathon. Once you've got those basics sorted, then we can talk about some more technical stuff about how to fuel long runs. But today, it's all about getting your base diet right. So what's your diet looking like? Take a look either now or later at the workbook that I gave you, and write down, what is your diet looking like at the moment around those 5 things that we've just covered. Are you the sort of person who just doesn't eat veg? Or are you the sort of person that, you're not really into meat or protein and you're not sure if you're going to be eating enough? Or is water your thing? Are you one of the guys that like people I work with who go, no, Helen, I know I don't drink enough water. So have a think about where you are right now and what changes that you need to be making to make sure that your diet is right. Your diet is right for your training. So take a look at that, and then have a look to see, what are the changes that you need to be making right now. So what can you make right now so that you are eating the right foods before you're getting into your marathon training? So what do you need to change? Do you need to eat more fruit and veg, starchy carbs, better quality protein, iron-rich foods, or drinking more water?